Hello viewers, we're going to be briefly discussing Naki World PSP grips today. Now, the white set here with the PSP Model 3000 I've owned for about 3 years and have been actively using it. Really like it, works well, has a built-in stand. The unit behind it, which is only white PSP 2000, I acquired only yesterday. And to my surprise, there was a great difference between the design of this unit and this unit. We'll get into that here, and starting with the top section. From first glance appears identical, but the clear hinges on the white unit I have are much slimmer. Over here they're a little bit thickened up. Probably not easy to remove if you had to remove it from this unit, though I wouldn't recommend removing it from either unit. Now, yes, the colors are different. That wasn't such a surprise because Naki, like most accessory companies, produce accessories in a variety of colors and styles of design. What did surprise me is that both of these hand grips actually have the same exact model number. Now, this is surprising because there are actually some very major design differences. Now, right now we have these just here. Yeah, okay. You will note, perhaps a little difficult to see, this unit here, I theorize, was designed and released at a later time than the white unit because there's just enough cutout in the molding of the plastics to allow for your ports and your optional lanyard and the power switch over here, whereas this white unit that I theorize to be older than the other unit has a much wider cutout all the ports, and I'm guessing that this was actually a design that they released before the actual release of the Model 3000 PSP, and because they didn't have exact details on whether the ports were moving or not from the 2000 model, they left it kind of wide open there so that they would have some leeway in case there was a major design change. Now, that's not all the change, though. I'm going to real quick point out here. Difficult to see, perhaps. Let's see. Zoom in for you folks. Now, the camera's not quite willing to do this. The actual pin for the adjustable grips here is kind of narrow, and it's not a really big metal pin. It's big enough to do the job. But interestingly, on this later revision of the grip unit, we see that the pin's a little larger. That may not show up very well in the pictures, but it actually is a slightly larger pin. Also notable, side by side, there's a slight design change to how this hinge is constructed. You'll notice the plastic is molded there, little holes there, and I'm not really sure why that is. And over here you just have the one narrow kind of hole in the plastic there. Well, so far none of these differences seem that major, but I'm about to get into why there are some major design changes here that could affect your decision on purchasing this. Now, the reason why anybody would want this to begin with is simply because it protects your PSP, and PSP, as anyone who has owned one probably knows already, it's not exactly ergonomic. So, playing it for long periods of time, it's very uncomfortable because it's just basically a flat tablet. So what this does is gives you a slight layer of protection for your system, and gives you nice rubberized grips, so that which are adjustable. Makes it a little chunkier, a little easier to handle. Okay, we'll get along now. The first major thing, though, aside from redesigning of the holes, which I actually do like this later revision a little better because you don't have all that extra space, they also moved the Naki World logo, which on this model is actually printed on the clear plastic. Right here, but on the redesign, it's printed on the back half of the plastic, right there. And like I said, both of these models actually bear the same model code. Very unusual. I'm going to flip them over now. Okay. Now, here's the first thing I noticed when I took this one out of the package, because I already knew when I bought it was a different color. Hi there, viewers. Okay, what I have here are two PSPs, obviously, but you'll notice they're in Naki PSP rubberized grips. These are really nice things to have. I recently acquired the second grip, which is this one here in the back, just yesterday actually, because I wanted a spare, and I discovered that even though there's only one model number for this product, there are actually two physical variations, and we're not talking about just the colors of them. This is the oldest one I have right here, which I got about maybe 4 years, 3-4 years ago, and have been using it regularly ever since. But from the angle that they're currently sitting at, you should be able to see. Put my viewfinder around here so I can know what I'm pointing at. Okay. Down here, where the ports are, you'll notice here, this one that's sitting in the back is the newer revision of this grip. These are all out of production now. You'll have to hunt them down on the secondary market if you would like one. You'll notice they actually molded it where the plastic has just enough hole in it for the actual ports, lanyard strap, and power switch. Whereas on the older model, they did not apparently know, because this came out, PSP Model 3000 had been announced but was not yet on the market. So I am assuming by that they were aware at least that the size of the PSP 3000 was going to be the same physical size as the 2000 model, because that's what I have here. White PSP is a PSP Model 2000, black PSP is a PSP Model 3000, and these cases, the actual PSPs are physically the same, so you can use them between the cases. But this is a different hardware revision, so this is the earlier revision here. So you have where they molded much larger spots for your actual ports and your power switch. Otherwise, fascia of it is identical. Now, when I got this one yesterday, it really surprised me, because the first thing my eye was drawn to was not the ports, but flip this over. Oops. On the back here, you'll notice my original one has 3 adjustment positions for the grips. So you have the ability to have a little bit more leeway for playing with the grip positions. Whereas on this larger model, you only have 2 selections. You have, in, there we go. And when it's out, it's actually the exact same distance as having this one all the way open, which is not bad. That's kind of how you would want to use it regardless. But then I got to looking around, and there was more variations. The plastics are actually just completely different. Of course, the original model had smooth rubberized grips. On the new model, you have a textured rubberized grip, which that makes no difference. It's rubberized grip regardless. It's very difficult to see probably in the video, I assume, but this is your retractable retractable stand for this unit. Alright. Now on the revised model, the stand makes the system lean back a lot further. And there's a little more difference to it than that, but I'm going to show you here if I can get this to view. You'll notice here the contour of the plastic is actually not flat, it is a slight bit of a curve to it, and the metal rod itself also curved. And it's contoured again, and it is also curved like that on the sides there. And even here it's curved a bit so that it's not putting any stress on the plastic frame. Okay. But the reason I noticed that was different is because on this model, it's actually putting stress on the frame to have it open. As you'll notice here, it's a slight bulge here, and it's actually because this piece of steel rod that they've bent for this is not contoured at all. It is just a flat piece of steel, so when you bend it up, it has no leeway for the plastic to flex properly and take all that stress off of it, which is actually, as you can see, the PSP fits fine. It's actually flexed that enough over a long enough period of time. It's actually warped the back ever so slightly, as you can tell here. Now, that's not enough of an issue for me to not recommend the product. As far as the product goes, I have dropped my PSP many, many times, and because it was in this case, the PSP does something very interesting when you drop it. It is heavier on one side than the other, and that's the battery side. So when you drop your PSP, it inevitably goes, alright, drops on that end. Well, when you've got it in one of these grips, and if you have the grip extended, what generally happens is, it still falls this way, but this takes the impact, protects your PSP. Which that's an unadvertised feature, I might add. But whoever came up with genius. Now, again, I'm not liking this. There's one other feature I'm about to show you here that's not going to be very apparent until I show you. But on this one, the revised model of this grip kit, you just have the cutout there, or where they molded to allow for the lanyard portion of your PSP to stick out. And I always recommend that you have a lanyard, you use it with your PSP, because you drop it, the screen's going to crack real easy. This model, though, if you can track down one of these models, this is the one thing I really prefer that stands out over this, and that is on that same portion of plastic. On this model, it also has a lanyard grip, so you can actually run your lanyard and actually tether the PSP and this grip system together, so that when you drop it, not only is it going to land, protect your PSP, but this isn't going to go popping open and have your PSP spill out on the floor regardless. I've dropped this many, many times. Both of these PSPs have been dropped many, many times while mounted in this case. Never had an issue with either of them getting damaged because of that. So at the end of the day, I'm kind of wondering, I'm not going to go do any drop tests, obviously, because why tempt fate, but because of the difference in design with this only having two positions and having a much larger actual, push down lock mechanism, I'm wondering how that's going to affect when you drop it, it actually being able to protect it. I don't really know, because like I said, the fact that it protects it when you drop it, that's not really what this was intended for. This is all about holding it for comfort, protecting your screen from fingerprints, just making it a little more convenient to use. Because over here, when you drop it, you've got two levels of catch. So it actually gives it a little more shock impact, I believe. I'm not going to test that theory, and it may be that that's sufficient enough shock impact protection right there. I don't really know. It's hard to say because I've only had that one day. But if you're in the market, you want a good grip for your PSP, these grips are made by Naki World. The model number, which is generally the easiest way to find them on the internet, is 31001. And like I said, two variations of the same product. So no telling, there could be even more variations than that, but these are the only two I own, and also the only two I've ever seen in person. So good luck, and if you want a good product, like I said, I recommend them. You can hunt down this model. It does give you one extra option for grip position, which is good convenience. I have very large hands. I don't know if that's apparent in this video, but so I use them on the maximum size out there. But someone with slightly smaller hands might decide the medium position is good, and well, that wouldn't be an option with this revision here. It's a good product. Recommend it regardless. You can't go wrong with either one of them. I mean, it's still going to give you some level of protection for your system and make it more ergonomic to hold on to. Alright, that's all.